Ko te wai e horara, ko Waitemata. Ko te marae e tūrā, ko Waipapa. Ko te whare tīpune e tūrā, ko tāne nuiarangi, ko koutou aku rangatira. Ngā manu kōrero, ngā manu waiata, tino reka, ngā reo, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. The earliest life forms on our planet date back perhaps 3.5 billion years, and us, humans, we've been around just a fraction of that time, tiny fraction, about 300,000 years. And life forms that destroy their own ecological niche go extinct. So if we don't learn to live well with the world around us, there's no guarantee that we won't join them. Maybe nature can't vote, but it will outlast us. In Aotearoa, land, rivers, forests, the ocean, and the life forms that live in them are much more ancient and powerful than people. That's what this meeting is about, I think. Trying to make sure that the leaders, the people we choose to lead us, are wise in their relationship with Papatūānuku, with Ranginui, with the living world around us, rather than short-sighted and expedient. Because learning to live well with the land, the waterways, and the ocean is vital to our survival. We are watching the costs of short-sighted, self-destructive, extractive policies mount day by day in catastrophic fires, floods, and storms. It's not a new story either. When the first Europeans arrived in my home region, most of the hinterland was still forest, covered in indigenous forest. Nearly all of the forest in the hinterland was cut down and burned. Back then in the 1880s, whole hillsides collapsed into the rivers. The port was so full of silt, Gisborne Port, that the ships couldn't get into the harbour and you could walk across the mouth. Local people tried to engineer their way out of these kind of disasters, dredging the harbour, diverting the river, until finally they realised that the only thing that was going to work was to reforest the hills. So they began to plant conservation so-called forests of pine trees. Pinus radiata, which is shallow rooting, short-lived, and very flammable. Since 2008, when climate change was finally recognised and the emissions trading scheme was set up, landowners in our region who plant pine trees get 10 times more NZUs than those who plant and restore native forests. 10 times more in a region that's not wealthy. Science has shown that indigenous forests hold the land together 5 times better than pine plantations and 10 times better than harvested plantations. And not only that, according to climate scientist Tim Flannery, who's very famous in this field, Aotearoa's temperate forests are among the best carbon sequestering ecosystems on the planet. So during Cyclone Gabrielle, the folly of this kind of land use became, I think, obvious to everybody in our region. The rivers across Te Rāwhiti were screaming. Plantations of 10 to 12-year-old pine trees were just blown over. They toppled and fell. Forestry waste were just swept down every river in our region, destroying fences, farm buildings, paddocks, orchards, vineyards, crops, roads, bridges, access to hospitals, schools, workplaces, whole communities. So one industry, one extractive industry, placed on steroids by the emissions trading scheme, wrong-headed thinking, and politicians who did not listen and still don't, devastated almost every other community activity and almost every other business in our region. And yet nearly all the costs have been carried by local families, by local ratepayers, and by you as taxpayers. The forestry companies have then managed to get paid to clean up some of their mess. And to make matters worse, as the Minister of RMA Reform, Chris Bishop, has just sent our Mayor a letter telling her that Council can't pass rules to stop this kind of tragedy and this economic disaster from happening in future. Even worse, the new version of the RMA will force the Council and ratepayers and taxpayers to pay compensation to the forestry industries if these rules are passed. I don't know anybody, any Kiwi who thinks this makes any kind of sense, that we should be paying companies who are based offshore, who expatriate their profits, who don't pay tax, that we should have to pay them for not causing $1 billion worth of damage almost every time it rains. It's lunacy. It's time for all Kiwis, all New Zealanders, all of us who live here, who care for our beautiful islands, to take a stand and to vote for their future and that of our children and our grandchildren, but ours too, because it's happening right now as we speak. Our waterways are being ravaged and polluted. They're being choked with sediment and slash. Trees are being felled across towns and cities. Our forests are falling silent. Let's hear them sing again. In the wide ocean that surrounds us, degraded by plastics and other junk, overfished and heating with climate change, Tangaroa's calling. Let's protect our fish stocks for future generations. And the ocean, let's listen to the song of the whales. The extinction crisis is not just about other life forms, it's about us as well. We have led the world before, and we can do it again. Whakarongo. Whakarongo. Whakarongo ki te tangi a te manu e karanga nei. Tui. Tui. Tui tui a. Listen. Listen. Listen to the cry of the bird calling, bind, join, be one. Bind above, bind below, bind within, bind without, tie the knot of humankind. The night hears, bind the lines coming down from long Hawaii, from ancient Hawaii, from Hawaii far away. Bind to the spirit, bind to the daylight, and bind to the world of light. Nā reira e aku rangatira, ka nui aku mia roa ki a koutou katoa. Kia ka. Be strong, stand tall, vote.